President Barack Obama took a veritable victory lap in the White House Rose Garden this week, saying that after multiple challenges in the Supreme Court, the Affordable Care Act is here to stay. On Thursday, the United States Supreme Court upheld a key provision of the Affordable Care Act, or ACA. In a 6-3 decision, the justices ruled that federal insurance exchanges do indeed qualify as state exchanges and are therefore eligible for IRS tax credits. Indiana Governor Mike Pence was quick to react to the court's decision, calling the court's decision judicial activism. Pence reiterated his desire for the ACA to be repealed and says that states should be given the flexibility to craft market-based solutions focused on lowering health care costs rather than growing the size of government. Indiana legislators from both sides of the aisle lost no time weighing in on the ruling.
This is really a states' right issue. Insurance has always been the province of state law. Healthcare has largely been the province of state law, and it's a troubling federal overreach in general. So we're going to keep on doing what we're doing here with HIP 2.0, which I think has been a very big success, but it worries us for future court rulings.
We now know that the major challenges to the Affordable Care Act are through, at least the litigation challenges, and in the meantime, we have 160,000 people in the state of Indiana who are going to continue to get subsidies to buy their insurance.
President Obama says that if the challenge to ACA had succeeded, millions of Americans would have had thousands of dollars worth of tax credits taken from them. This is not the first time this week that Governor Pence has been outspoken about his dismay with Obama administration initiatives. On Wednesday, Pence sent a letter to the president saying unequivocally that the state of Indiana will not comply with the EPA's proposed Clean Power Plan to reduce carbon emissions from existing power plants. Calling the proposed rules ill-conceived and poorly constructed, Pence says he believes the plan will raise electricity costs, result in less reliable electricity, and impede economic growth and prosperity in Indiana. He pointed out that though Indiana has diversified its energy portfolio by investing in wind and solar industries and drawing power from Michigan's nuclear reactors, the Clean Power Plan will force the premature closure of reliable coal-fired power plants, threatening a stable source of affordable electricity. Pence says unless the Clean Power Plan is significantly improved, the state may resort to legal challenges to keep it from being implemented. The Lake Station School Board has decided to put the issue of school funding before the voters. They're seeking to stabilize funding that has been cut by the state. It's been a tough year for some Lake County schools. They've had to cut programs and valued teachers because of a lack of state funding. Now Lake Station schools are seeking to fill the gap with a 61-cent tax increase on property owners. The increase will raise $1,074,000 per year that will be used for teachers, staff, and academic programs. School officials say the increase is necessary because of a decrease in state funding.
State funding cut to public schools where they are better financing charter schools and vouchers. We've also had a reduction in our student enrollment consistently for the past several years here in Lake Station schools. So with the reduction from the General Assembly in Indianapolis, with our decreasing and declining enrollment in our school district, and we're also working with, there's a small percentage of taxpayer collection of property taxes, so that's another situation that we have to deal with in our school district.
The referendum will be on the November 3rd ballot. If it's approved, the schools could see funding by 2017. Lake Station school officials say they plan to hold a town hall meeting to explain their need for the referendum. For the first time since 1871, a wild bear has been spotted in the state of Indiana. Michigan City Police are warning residents to be on the lookout for a black bear that's been seen in the area. They say the small black bear probably wandered into northwest Indiana from Michigan. Police say the bear was spotted on June 15th near Highway 20 in Muir Road, and then again earlier this week near a resident on 1000 North near I-94. The sighting was confirmed through tracks found at the scene. Black bears, once a native species in Indiana, are now listed as an exotic mammal and are protected under Indiana state law. Wildlife biologists with the Department of Natural Resources say it's very likely that the bear will wander back into Michigan. In the meantime, authorities are reminding residents to make sure their garbage cans are secured because open containers can lure the bears who are looking for food. Experts say bear attacks are extremely rare, but if you see a bear, do not approach the animal and do not let it approach you. Sergeant Chris Yagelski of Michigan City Police says just a few precautions can help keep both you and the bear from harm.
Walk backwards is always the best. Yell, scream, or actually honk your horn if it's getting close to you or close to your home. They're usually more afraid of you than they are of them. And of course, it's just one of those things that they are frightened. They're a frightened animal. They won't attack. They usually do not attack.
Officials from the Indiana DNR and Michigan DNR are working together to track the bear's movements. Authorities say if you do see the bear, you are asked to call 911. Well, he's danced all over the world, but now one accomplished artist is deciding once again to make a home for himself in Northwest Indiana. Gary native and professional dancer Ronaldo Maurice Gardner will be one of the new artistic directors of the South Shore Dance Alliance. Gardner, who most recently has been part of the world-renowned Alvin Ailey Dance Company in New York, trained as a dance student at Emerson School for the Visual and Performing Arts in Gary and first came to study at the South Shore Dance Alliance in 2002. For Gardner, coming back to the South Shore in his new capacity as an artistic director helps fulfill what he sees as his mission.
It is a dream. It's a dream that I had, but it is a dream that I wanted to make true for myself. It's being here, coming back home, and teaching so many kids who have so much talent, and I just remember being in their place and knowing that I do have a gift of dance and I can share. That's my testimony, I feel. Dance is my testimony.
Gardner will be joined as co-artistic director with Casey Noel Garland, another professional dancer and former Gary resident. Both Gardner and Garland were founding members of the dance training program that has come to be the South Shore Dance Alliance. Another South Shore organization brings its hard-hitting moves to Northwest Indiana. Our own Hillary Powell checks out the roller derby girls. That story plus Stephen Lattimore and Michael Puente coming up on Lakeshore Report.
Lakeshore Report wants to hear from you. Send your thoughts, concerns, questions, and story ideas to tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org. You can also reach us on Facebook and Twitter at Lakeshore Report. Make sure to tweet us using the hashtag NWIPride and you may see your comments on air. Lakeshore Report, providing you region-focused content.
Every night, about 58 families make the Indianapolis Ronald McDonald House home. The Ronald McDonald House is the temporary home base for families caring for a sick child. While there, families need not only shelter, but food and toiletries. Well, thanks to the help of a preteen from Gary, their lives are being made just a little bit easier. You might be surprised why he's coming to the aid of these children in need. Stephen Lattimore has the story.
We're at the Ronald McDonald House in Indianapolis to tell you the story about a 10-year-old boy from Northwest Indiana who's making a big impact on the lives of sick kids and their families.
On the other side. With your brother, you get one over there.
Ricky Howard of Gary is doing what he always does, helping others. He and his family are loading up their car to head to Indianapolis to take donations to the Ronald McDonald House. It's a home away from home for parents with sick children.
Here they have a place to stay, a place they could call home, but they also don't have to worry about having a meal. They can come here, eat, relax, kind of let the stress level down.
Because they actually know that somebody cares.
Some kid, huh? Well, that's only half the story. The other reason he helps kids who are sick is because he's sick too. While he's here, he goes to see his own doctor for a checkup and blood work. Ricky has chronic recurring pancreatitis and a cyst on the right side of his brain. For the last 3 years, Ricky has been in the hospital approximately 60 times.
Well, being as strong as he is and as wonderful of a dad he has and a family support he has, he will overcome it. I am confident. Now, obviously, medically he may have issues, but with prayer and love and support, I am hopeful that he will be able to have as good a quality of life as possible considering his condition.
To date, we've had probably 3,300 toys delivered to Riley's. I'd have to say at least $2,000 to the Ronald McDonald House and food. We left a doctor's appointment and halfway home he said, "Hey Dad, could we do a toy drive?" That was in September of 2012, and like I said, we've done them yearly since.
Despite his difficult life, his doctors are hopeful about his future.
Sometimes I like playing football and stuff with my friends, and my doctor said I can play football, but my dad doesn't want me to because if I get kneed in the stomach, or something, he doesn't want to have to take me to the hospital. It's sort of frustrating because like they move you from bed to bed, like when you're in the ambulance, and it hurts like when you're getting picked up and everything. I can't do the stuff that I want to with my friends, and it gets me down sometimes.
Wesley says he can't really put into words the pride he has for his son. Well, maybe a few words.
That would have to be awesome. If I could use 2 words, it would be amazingly awesome.
It inspires me and other kids.
So what does the future hold for Ricky? Well, the holidays will soon be here, and he's already begun his toy and food drives. In Indianapolis, Stephen Lattimore for Lakeshore Report.
If you want to learn more about Ricky, check out his Facebook page, Ricky's Run for Riley's. A Northwest Indiana group is doing its part to raise money for some community organizations, and it's doing it one crazy, high-impact lap at a time. Hillary Powell has their story.
At the South Shore Roller Girls practice, you see skates rolling, but it's hard to spot the 30-member team. They are swift. You get flashes of their personalities and hear their camaraderie.
A black's gotta go, keep going forward.
In this league, you not only roll with the punches, you deliver them. It's a league where teamwork means preparing your fellow skater for a match by delivering a hard hit, not a high five.
Derby, you can't do it by yourself. I've tried and it doesn't work.
They are the premier flat track roller derby league serving Northwest Indiana. The group's been around since 2013, and they could number their years by the amount of injuries.
Ouch! You can't see anything, but I can feel it. On our team, we've had 4 broken legs / ankles. I got hit pretty good in a bout and probably like maybe cracked a rib.
The girls are really proud of their bruises. That's like their little trophies they have. You know, like check this bruise out or check this bruise out.
Yeah, I should have stopped the first time I fell on my knee. I fell on it 4 times. The 4th time did it in.
Team president Tycee Shipley, known as Colorado Crush Her in the rink, says she never skated before joining the team 3 years ago. She says wearing these wheels is empowering.
People that say they can't skate, I'm like, well, I didn't skate when I started, and look at me now. People who don't think they can do it, I say you got to try it first. Before you can say it. It's not always going to be a sport for everybody, but it's definitely one that is open to allowing anybody of any experience, whether you're athletic or not, to try it.
Coach Jason Payne Garcia says the women that lace up these skates are teachers, accountants, and stay-at-home moms.
I like coaching the sport because it's something for women to actually do a contact sport. There really is no contact sport out there for women. Really don't see women hockey, you really don't see women football too much, and this is actually something that they could do and enjoy and have a good time and raise money for the community.
A portion of the proceeds for a pair of bouts this weekend will benefit the Disabled American Veterans Chapter 17 of Hammond. Shipley says the league is making a difference, but also rolling over stereotypes of what women can do.
It's a legitimate sport. A lot of people remember the old days and how it was kind of more like pro wrestling where it was made up and fake. This is not scripted, it's legitimate. Everything that we're putting out here is hard work, but we're pretty awesome.
In Hammond, Hillary Powell, Lakeshore Report.
The South Shore Roller Girls will take on 2 teams in a doubleheader this weekend at the Gene Shepherd Center in Hammond. For more information, log on to lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Joining us on our next segment is someone who is no stranger to folks in Northwest Indiana. Michael Puente has been a local journalist for more than 2 decades and is a familiar voice on WBEZ radio in Chicago. Michael sits down with Teresa Torres of Everybody Counts, an advocacy group for people with disabilities, to talk about the failure of some area transportation hubs to meet the requirements of the Americans with Disability Act.
A report from the Department of Justice that says Amtrak stations in Indiana fall short of Americans with Disabilities Act standards is based on state inspections after the state received numerous complaints. There are several stations in Northwest Indiana called out. Here to talk about this situation with me is Teresa Torres of Everybody Counts, an advocacy group for people with disabilities. Teresa, welcome to the program.
I'm very happy to be here, Michael. Thank you for asking me.
Now, Teresa, does this report kind of surprise you? You've been working with people who have disabilities and have access issues. Does this report surprise you?
Not in the least bit. In 2013, there was a national study issued that showed that about 85% of Amtrak's requirements had not yet been met. What's really ironic is that when the law was passed in 1990, the initial requirement was for compliance within 3 years. Amtrak negotiated 20 years. And here we are close to the end of that deadline, and they're still not anywhere near compliance.
Now, Teresa, the ADA has been around for several decades now, I think 25 years.
This is the 25th anniversary, correct?
Now, what's the problem? Is it apathy? Is it ignorance? You tell me.
It's actually both of those are the key issues. It's apathy and ignorance. It's a failure on the part of key leadership to recognize that people with disabilities are citizens. The purpose of the law was to provide equal access. And there's somehow an assumption that it's those people as opposed to part of our community. And for people with disabilities, access to transportation is the linchpin to living in the community. They don't have any needs different from anywhere else. They also want to visit their Aunt Sally in Akron, Ohio. They also want to get to work. And so people don't really care because they don't seem to understand, but our leaders are in a position where they are required to obtain that understanding and to ensure that the law is being followed. It's not happening across the board, unfortunately, as nearly as well as it should.
Well, let me ask you this. Is part of it also money? I mean, it takes a lot of money to upgrade stations, even to upgrade curb cuts in a person's neighborhood. Is it money? Is money the issue?
Money is often cited as the primary issue. However, the vast majority of improvements that would bring about accessibility are not at all costly. Many times, there are some instances, for example, with Amtrak, whereby they have the equipment installed, say for announcements for people who are blind. They have the equipment but won't do it. So it's not really as much as a cost. A little pile of concrete to make a ramp is not going to cost that much.
Well, Teresa, what else needs to be done to correct the situation? Is it money? Is just getting over this whole apathetic kind of situation with the elected officials?
I think that the federal law, the intent and the details in the federal law need to be taken seriously at the national level, at the state level, at the local community level. And until that happens, we're going to continue to waste a lot of time and energy going back and forth with these kinds of battles, which frankly are more costly than just doing the work. Somebody's paying for attorneys somewhere, and that's not cheap. So more often than not, if they just do what needs to be done, that saves a great deal of time and money.
Where can more people find out? Where can they go to find out more about Everybody Counts?
Our agency can be found on the web at everybodycounts.org, or they can call us at 219-769-5055. We've got a staff full of folks ready to work with the community and with people that are experiencing difficulties.
Great. Teresa Torres is with Everybody Counts in Maryville. Teresa, I want to thank you for being here on Lakeshore Report.
You're welcome, Michael. Thank you for asking.
In an effort to give you even more insight on region events, we're collaborating with the state's second largest newspaper, the Times of Northwest Indiana. Regularly, we'll have an exclusive preview of some of the top stories in this Sunday's paper. This week, Times reporter Vanessa Runderman stopped by Dynamite Fireworks in Hammond to talk with Chris Zambo about the most popular fireworks this 4th of July and how manufacturers are working to make all fireworks a lot safer.
We're a year-round store, and we'll do 90% of our business in the last 7 days prior to the 4th of July, and half of that will come in the last 2 days. We see a lot of interest in the cakes, aerial displays, and big mortar shells. We can do some phenomenal things. We can get close to Comiskey Park style displays in your backyard these days. It is amazing. They've got bigger, louder, better, and at the same time, prices come down due to all the competition, especially in Indiana. You can now have a smoke ball that's the size of your head almost. You can get a 500-gram cake now that'll go up 300 foot in the air, whereas 10 years ago we had nothing even remotely close to that. So the impressiveness factor has gone up hugely. I think safety in fireworks has progressed immensely in the last 10 years since fireworks became legal in Indiana. I think the design of the fireworks themselves go into PVC tubes with your mortar shells. With the cakes, they've gone to big, stable boxes to prevent them from tipping over. Even the evolution of the sparkler has progressed from a wire sparkler to a wood stick, so you can't burn yourself any longer with your feet or on your hands. So a lot of great things on the safety front. You can get a family display if you're going to go all smoke stuff and sparklers for inside of $30. We can do an average size family display for $50 to $75, which is about the average sale. And then the guys with the block parties and the families with the block parties, we can go all the way up to $500, $600, $700, $800 sometimes. When I light fireworks with the family, I prefer the cakes. You get one wick, you get multiple shots, up to 30 shots. You're going up 100, 150, 200 feet. A lot of colors, a lot of noise. Lasts a long time, safer. So that's what I prefer when I light with my family.
For more information about this story, check out this Sunday's Times or log on to www.nwitimes.com. And don't forget, for more information on any of our stories, you can go to lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time on Lakeshore Report.
Hi, joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is Eric Tanis, who's going to be a guest lecturer this summer at Art in Focus in Crown Point for South Shore Arts. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you for having me today, Joe.
And you have been a guest lecturer for us in Munster for the main Art in Focus, which runs September through May.
Yes, correct.
At the Center for Visual and Performing Arts.
So actually the inspiration for this series started because of one of those presentations. After one of the lectures, a gentleman approached me and he spoke to me about, we had listened to several versions of Hoagie Carmichael's Stardust, and he made it a point to tell me how many memories were in the room while we were listening to that, and that really stuck with me, and that was the inspiration for the series. And so the unofficial title for these 4 lectures, which will be held at 123 Main Street in Crown Point, at the Crown Point branch, it's music in memory. So, and how we remember things when we listen to them.
So the first one is, it's on the 13th of July, and it's the theme is the 1812 Overture for that one.
Yes, that was kind of the first one that kind of hit me because it's woven like a tapestry of all these different melodies that were things. There's a hymn, folk music, all these other things, and it's Tchaikovsky, and we remember it as the thing that we do on the 4th of July with the fireworks.
Right, that's true.
But, you know, it's ironic because most everything that it's supposed to represent is wrong.
Oh, so. I see. So then, okay, well, that's worth coming to find out why.
That one's a history lesson.
And then you're going to leap from the 13th to this one. You're leaping from 1812 to the Beach Boys.
Yeah. That one's going to be kind of sad because it's just...
kind of sad. It sounds happy.
Well, the way that we perceive the Beach Boys, you hear Surfer Girl, Little Deuce Coupe, you know, things like that. And we're going to talk about Brian Wilson's life. That one's going to be more of a visual. We're going to show a movie, I believe, for that one.
Okay, well, this is all the preview we have time for, unfortunately. Okay. But there are 2 others as well, Manson, Motown, and Me, and Rhythms of the Railroad. So it sounds really interesting, Eric.
Wonderful.
And people can check out our South Shore Arts website and get the whole
Well, thank you for having me today.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts. Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.